Hey y'all, it's Melissa at Twin Oaks Farm in rural southeast Ohio, USA. Thanks for joining us on our YouTube channel. I'm actually fixing to go out and check on my egg production hens. We've been in that coop several times today, but I want to go collect eggs. And before I go out there, thought we'd just try to get a video here. I'm actually going to piggyback this video onto the Broilers series that we just did, and I'm going to call it The Rest of the Story, because we had a couple of big challenges during our Flock 6 of 2023 that we did that whole Broilers Day 1, Broilers Day 2, Broilers Day, etc. video series on. So I wanted to be able to share that with you, and I tried different times during the series to actually work it in, and I never could get it just worked in. It made the videos go so long, and I was trying to give information, but not always have an excessively long video. So we ended up never being able to put the rest of the story in there. So in this video, going to do that. Going to share with you a couple of the big challenges we had during that flock's production, and some troubleshooting we had to do on that. Also going to look at what went really right in that flock, and then we'll wrap up with going out to the egg production house and at least taking a look at the egg production hens. We haven't had them in a video for a while. Haven't been too long ago, but I think it's been a while. I really can't recall the last time, and I didn't go back and look it up on the videos. So at any rate, welcome back. So we did have a couple of really big challenges during production that were related to us being able to complete the production of the flock well. Fortunately, they weren't things that affected like flock loss or mortality or the birds doing well. We'll get to that. That's one of the things that really went right with that flock. The birds did great. But the challenges that we had, first of all, we've been having challenges with my daily driver truck. So that's the truck that hauls the chickens to the chicken processor whenever it's time for them to go at the end of production. It's the truck I drive every day, but that was the main way it related to the flock. We've been having problems with it. So we're now going into week 6 of not having that truck on site. And so that trouble started about a week into raising flock 6 of 2023. And it's a good old truck. It's been reliable for us. We have only had it a couple years. Honestly, our personal preference of trucks, not because we just believe some are inherently better and some are inherently worse, but just we don't. A good truck is a good truck, y'all. That's the bottom line. It's got to get from A to B, and if it does that, it's a great truck, and if it's paid for, it's even better. So our personal preference has always been Cummins engines, and my husband has a 24 valve Cummins, like the 90s, late 90s. My sons have the 12 valve Cummins, like the early 90s. 2 of my sons do. My youngest son is looking for one. I drove Cummins that were the early 2000s, and just so happened that the last time we wanted to kind of replace a vehicle, well, it kind of hit a time when it was difficult to find a truck, for one thing. So we couldn't find a truck, and I believe we actually had sold the one I had, got an offer on it, and had gone ahead and sold it. So we were kind of between trucks for me. So anyway, we ended up finding this truck that we have now. It's a Duramax. Like I said, it's been reliable, great old truck. It's an early 2000s, and we call it Traveler, and we love Civil War history. We're Civil War history enthusiasts and love to go visit battlefields, all that good stuff. But that was the inspiration for my truck's nickname. We call my truck Traveler. So if you know why or can figure out why we would have called it Traveler, you can let me know. And it's a neat looking truck. It has a custom fade paint job that was on it apparently from the time it came out of factory, went to a custom shop down in the south, and it's been maybe a 2-owner truck, I think, is what we found out. But it's a custom fade paint that's like a pewter color at the top and fades all the way down to white at the bottom. So at any rate, so that's why we named it Traveler, because of the color and what it reminded me of that has to do with Civil War history. But moving on. So so the trouble we had with it was about 6 weeks ago. It kind of like, there was no load on it, and I wasn't braking or accelerating, and it just something like it made a funny shift, and we were like, does the transmission need worked on? What's going on here? So we end up just, taking it to a mechanic, and it did throw some codes, and they actually ended up just servicing the transmission, changing filters, changing fluids, and it cleared the code. So we got it back home, and I think we had it maybe a couple days. In fact, took a little bit of a road trip with it to a football game, and luckily got there, got back. But then just like 2 days after we got it back, it did the same funny kind of shifting thing. Oddly enough, like a mile from home when it did it, and even closer to the mechanic that we like to take it to, and it did the funny thing in exactly the same spot on the road almost. So it was kind of uncanny that way. But so we got it home because it was weekend, and then called the mechanic. Hey, we're bringing it back. We want to stick with you and see what it needs and get it fixed up. So all the while time's marching on this flock, and I don't have a truck. And so at any rate, so we end up finding out it needs solenoids. So we end up finding out best thing we thought to do was put a valve body kit in it. Hard to find the parts. We finally did. Finally got them shipped here. There was actually a hiccup in even getting them shipped here. They got the wrong address put on them at the retailer. It was going to some undeliverable address that would have been like a couple miles down the road from our address. So got that straightened out. They got the right parts to us. So by this time, we're coming down to the week that Flock 6 is going to processing. And we still have no truck. And so we're thinking that flock goes to processing, October 6th. And we get the parts over to the mechanic's place. And we think that everything's rolling right along, and we're probably going to get the truck back the night before we need to haul the birds. And the mechanics were working on it, and it turns out they go to get it from the lot to take it into the garage, and the thing won't start. It had started previously, and now it won't start. And so now, as of October 5th, we find out, well, A, we're not going to have my truck back for October 6th to haul birds, and B, now it needs a fuel injection control module as well. So the old one on is shot. We've been through the research in it. We've got one coming, and I don't know what's going to happen. So the truck's still not back, but we'll get, we're going to see it through, and our mechanic's helping us, and we get the truck back on the road, and we'll decide what we're doing after that. So that was one hiccup. So we're troubleshooting trucks. So we ended up being able to arrange another truck and hooked it to the livestock trailer, and we're good to go. So that fortunately worked out, and we just need to get the truck fixed. The other thing was a little bit bigger problem. So we get to about October 4th. We think the birds need to go on October 6th, right? We get to about October 4th, and we think to ourselves, we better check in with our processor, because we haven't heard from them. And usually, there's a communication exchange, and we get a confirmation, and we've been busy, and we could have made a mistake on our end. We need to call and confirm. So 2 days before what we believe is the processing appointment, I'm calling the processor's house, and I have to leave a message. Hey, we're just calling to confirm a processing date on October 6, 2023. As I'm hanging up, I'm looking back through some paperwork at a desk, so a different calendar that I don't refer to on a daily basis, and I see that we had a processing date written down for October 2nd, 2023. For that flock that we just did that series on. We're thinking October 6th all this time. I have a date written down in my desk, October 2nd. I'm calling on October 4th. So essentially, it hit me at that point. We've had a processing date that we missed. We were no-shows. Didn't realize it. And we don't have a processing date on October 6th. So then I'm able to call back to the processor, get the owner of the place, talk to him, and basically tell him, I've discovered that I've made a terrible mistake. We had an appointment that I got my dates mixed up. We ended up as no-shows. It's totally my fault. And if there, nonetheless, I still have 290, I thought 295 birds ready to finish. And if there's anything at all you can do to help me, I'll do whatever I need to work with you. And so he was so calm, so kind, got the book, took a look, talked to me about it, said he's going to get his team together and I'd have something within 24 hours, and they wanted to try to help us. And we have the best processors on the planet, the best poultry processors on the planet. Not only are they great at what they do, they did help me. And so he had told me when I said, look what I've done, this is a terrible mistake, I'm so sorry. He said, best case scenario would be like I might have to wait about 5 days. Worst case scenario would be we'd have to wait another full week. So we were in our brains shifting into total troubleshooting mode on these birds, because we had already took them out to about 45 days production. And we're realizing we could have had them out of the barn at 40 days production, which had been perfect, because 42 days is our preference, and we don't like to go over. So so we realized we're out to 45 days. If we got to keep them going yet another week, you know, we're going to have to troubleshoot the feed situation, have to troubleshoot, you know, the bedding situation, troubleshoot the lighting situation, the temperature situation. Everything has to be attended to. So best outcome we could have had, the processors call us back the next morning, which would have been Thursday morning, October 5th at like 7 a.m. in the morning. And they say, we can take those birds on October 6th, Friday, after all. So trouble averted, you know, and we had prayed on it. And I will, no joking you, and I will tell you straight up, when we did family devotions Wednesday evening on October 4th, I specifically prayed, Lord, if there's any way that those birds can be worked in on Friday when we thought they were going, please make it happen. You're the way maker. And if not, whatever day they got to go, give us the ability to troubleshoot this through. So anyway, so they went on the 6th. So we was really relieved at that. So, you know, that's life, good and bad. So we didn't end up having to troubleshoot flock management. We were troubleshooting truck problems. We still are. Then we thought we might be troubleshooting the flock management, but it worked out. They went on the date that we had been geared for as we were going through production. So, and we did end up with 296. I'm thinking we thought we had 295 on site that we would be loading to take on October 6th. I'm honestly thinking we miscounted when we moved the chicks in, because they can jump like out of their little box. I think we had probably one jump out of its box that we missed. I bet we started with 306. We know we lost 10, so we ended with 296. So anyway, so, you know, that's the way it goes. A little good, a little bad, but you got to keep rolling. You got to keep doing your best and grind out outstanding days as well as you can, right? So let's go look at the hens. Thanks for joining me, y'all. Thanks for sticking with us through that Broilers series. And if you have any questions or anything you'd like us to try to address about meat birds in future videos, please let me know. But we're going to go in and take a look at these egg production hens. So we have a couple of girls in molt, you know, and I'm down to like 11 seconds of recording. So we're just going to walk in, see the gals a minute, and it's probably going to shut us down here in about 8 seconds. So God bless y'all, and thanks so much for joining.